This is Deanna.
This is Candace.
And you're listening to
No Fucking Way. What are we gonna talk about? What we watched all week long? That's all I did.
Shit.
Week was watch.
I forgot about that.
Me
oh my
too.
God.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And if you don't like reality TV, just skip ahead. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
Don't
And
take
again,
our
here's another
recommendation.
reminder. I'm going to put a timestamp in the fucking description about where the story starts. So if you don't want to listen to us talk about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, look in the description.
Oh my gosh. But this will probably be the only week that we talk about it because we both finished the whole
Yeah, we binged it. And it's like one of those, it all came out at once kind of things. I think I like Taylor the best out of everybody.
Okay.
By the end of it.
Yeah. I like Taylor.
I do think she's running this whole thing into the ground. Like, bitch, you're not going to sit here and tell me that you were a swinger and you were having this open relationship and doing these things and then get mad when this guy who you're not even officially dating allegedly sleeps with someone or doesn't sleep with someone.
I know. I'm still like kind of unclear on the whole swinger situation. Like, who else was, like, all the focus is on her, but who was she talking about? Like, who is she outing?
Yeah, I know, because
like,
everyone on the show is like, it wasn't us.
It wasn't me. Well,
and she never really says, but
I know.
And it's like, whatever. She needs to just shit or get off the pot when it comes to that relationship.
It is wild how they're not going to stay together. That's why they're not getting married, because she knows that they're not going to stay together. It's so crazy how the first episode versus the last episode, who I thought in the first episode was like I liked versus who I didn't like in episode 1 versus in the last episode.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
because in the first, I'll say for the first 2 episodes, I liked Whitney and I didn't like Taylor.
Me too.
And everyone else I was kind of indifferent about. By the end of it, I hate almost everyone. And one more thing about Taylor that I think is interesting. The end of episode 1 is where she gets into this drunken fight with her boyfriend and the cops get called and she goes to jail for assault because she threw a chair at him or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's never addressed, but I'm like, what we need to talk about is Taylor's drinking problem.
Yeah.
Because if you get that drunk, like she even says in that episode, like he doesn't drink because he has a problem with, like, he's in recovery, but I'm gonna get fucked up tonight. And then the next scene is like the fucking police getting called at her house.
I know.
And I think that she says in the body cam footage, because she had peed herself, she was like, I was so scared of him that I peed myself. I think you are blackout drunk and you peed yourself.
Right. Yeah. You can't blame pissing yourself on someone else.
No, like,
sorry.
But it's never addressed as far as like her drinking being out of control, because she like immediately gets pregnant again.
Right. It is very weird. It really did take a turn. And after I watched the first episode, I was like, I don't care about this girl really. Like, I don't really want to watch this. But the first episode is so different from the rest of the rest of the season, because it just focuses on Taylor so much. And she's like, I'm a divorced single mom. I'm a swinger. Oh, and by the way, I just had a miscarriage. Oh, but I'm pregnant and this is my boyfriend. Oh, and I got arrested because I beat him up last night. Yeah. It's just like all her, and then it jumps to like a year later and it's all her, it's goes into everyone else's story. But the excessive amount of soda that these girls drink.
Yeah, 44 ounce.
If this is what people that drink alcohol look like, yeah, I don't want to drink anymore.
It actually is, but
the amount of every single scene, the soda cans and the Slurpee size, like the they drink so much soda, but it also was so refreshing to see, like, a group of girls like this eat.
Yeah.
Like, they eat meals. They munch and eat bullshit all day long. That's so nice to see rather than, like, when you watch Housewives or something and they're like, "Well, what I eat in a day is at 6 a.m. I have 4 grapes, and then I have a
Yeah.
radish at noon, and then I have half a yogurt at 6 p.m." It was very I liked that. They're like junk food aholics.
I didn't really, other than like them going to the soda shop a couple times, I didn't really notice the amount of soda that they were drinking. But I can say, as a person who doesn't drink anymore, that is what people who drink look like to
Oh my
me.
gosh, it was alarming. It was
Yeah.
alarming to me. It made my teeth hurt. Every
And then
single
I think
scene,
it's
someone has
weird that
this
like
soda can.
half of them adhere to the rules and then the other
I
half
know.
don't. And
I
I'm like,
know.
why are you even on the show? I thought this was about Mormon people, but you are a part of the church. But and I get like you're not perfect and all this stuff, but I thought Mormonism was like more strict. Like I
Me
remember in like I
too.
think the second episode, Taylor was talking about how she was afraid of getting excommunicated from the church
Yeah.
for all of her sinful activities.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I thought that too. But then it seems like it's kind of just whatever you want to do.
It's very confusing because also how old is Taylor? Like 26 or something?
Yeah, something, I don't
Like,
know.
he easily passes like 17 years old. And then it kinda the scene where her parents are sitting down with her when she's pregnant and saying that her boyfriend's moving in with her, and they're having this talk about, like, "Well, you shouldn't live with him before you're married, blah, blah, blah." She's pregnant, divorced, and
Yeah, and has
already
like two
has
kids with
2
from
kids.
previous.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "Guys, this is not." uh, I the rule and, like, nothing's a secret, the secret life of Mormon wives. What's the secret? All their shit is wide out there.
Yeah, and you know what? Besides Whitney, I feel like everybody does tell the truth and they tell each other.
Yeah.
Like they'll
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
one will call like I think it was like Demi and the other one I don't like, Jesse, didn't get
Yeah,
invited to the baby's blessing and they
and
called
they FaceTimed her.
Jen.
Not even
Yeah.
a call, they met her on FaceTime.
And they're like, "Yeah, so what's up with you like uninviting us to the baby blessing?" And
Yeah, I do.
they had to confront her and she was like, "Well," and I mean it was she kind of did beat around the bush, but it was clear that it was like kind of her husband's
Right,
decision.
right, and even her reply, like, being called out, she was even like, "Well, we just think that blah, blah, blah." Like, she wasn't like, "Oh, I have a bad connection," and, like, hung up or
Right,
something,
yeah.
She, like, talked with them through it. I do like that. Maybe that's why it's so exciting to watch because they really do just, like they talk a lot of
They really
shit,
get into it. Yeah.
but then it doesn't stay behind someone's back until, like,
Right.
for
Yeah,
that
yeah, they
long.
really do. They'll like really air it out.
I
I do like
loved it
that part, but
too.
I
I
still
can
feel like the Chippendales thing was beyond
oh,
inappropriate for Jesse to invite because look, if you're and I made some comment on Instagram about it and somebody was like, "Well, like Jessie is like new to the group and she doesn't know them very well." Okay, but this is like towards the end of the season. Everybody by this point should know. Jen
yeah,
wears her special underwear around. She's a devout Mormon,
yeah,
and you know her husband's a devout Mormon, and you're gonna take her to a strip club and expect like her husband to be okay with it. I get that you're trying to break the
yeah,
traditions of the Mormon church or whatever, and you're trying to liberate women or whatever you want to call
yeah,
it, but you're purposely putting this woman in this bad situation. And I don't think it was right. I don't think his reaction was right either. Obviously, you know, like he way overreacted about the whole thing,
yeah.
but I don't think it was right for them to put her in that situation.
I mean, I agree, and I don't think Jesse should have been surprised, but I also, like, feel like that is all it was. It was an invite. Like, here we are. And I feel like at any minute, if Jen knew shit was gonna hit the fan, you could have called your husband that followed you to Vegas and said, "Oh God, we just pulled up at Chippendales." Like, ugh. I mean, I think she
Yeah,
stayed there longer than she knew that she should have. But that
Right.
motherfucker, her husband at the same time was out gambling with her money
I
to
know.
what he was doing is worse than what she was doing. She didn't even do anything. She was just in a place she shouldn't have been in. He was gambling, which you're also
I don't
not supposed to do.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do it, but I still feel like in the eyes of the church, I bet going to a male strip club and touching somebody's ass cheeks as a married woman is probably looked down upon more than playing poker.
Well, yeah, but Jen didn't do that. She
No,
was
but
just
I'm saying like in the eyes of the church, the Chippendales
oh,
thing
well,
looks
sure, yeah.
worse than gambling. Both are wrong, but I would say the Chippendales thing would be looked down at more.
Yeah. Did you see the thing that came out? All these people went crazy and did these like genealogy reports or looked up there because he said that he's related to Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he's like a second cousin or something like that.
Okay, well, they're not.
He's not?
No.
Are we
I
sure about
I
this?
well, I just saw it today. Everyone's like pulling up because I guess there's some
This
registry like
People
the
are so crazy.
People are crazy, but that's also really crazy to say if that's not true.
I know.
You're gonna be on TV. Like Ben Affleck could watch this show.
I wonder if it's like
Like
one
he
of
would
those
learn.
things that has just been kind of like this misinformation spread throughout the family for so long.
Well, someone needs to tell
Like,
Jen because she was like, he's related to Ben Affleck.
yeah, I know.
These people went all the way, all these people that looked up like the Mormon, I don't know, there's like some whole log of like a family log or something. They went back all the way to the 1700s, and there's
We
still nothing that puts like Ben Affleck and this family together.
we need Ben Affleck to speak on the
Oh yeah,
subject.
please. We'll at him. I just can't believe I've never knew anything about any of these girls before I watched this show. I've never heard of any of them before.
I feel like I recognize Whitney because her RSV video lives rent free in my
Yeah.
head.
Did you see that when it came out?
I did.
Okay, I don't know if I
But I
saw
had
the
no idea I didn't know she was
no, me either.
like
Me
famous or
either.
anything. I actually thought she was a teenager. I thought she was like a 17-year-old.
Like a
And
teen
Amanda
mom.
sent it to me. Yeah. And
Yeah, I
I
thought
thought it was like a teen mom kind of situation.
and I probably didn't even see the original because so many people were sharing it and like stitching it and stuff. I probably just saw
Hmm.
someone's reaction to it and I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? Like a teen mom, she just had her baby. She's really excited about it, obviously. Like, well, I don't get what the problem is. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't
I
realize
didn't
that it
know.
was a sick baby?
No, no,
Oh.
because I didn't read anything about it. I did see the
But
video.
she had the text on the screen the whole
Yeah,
time she's like
yeah, I didn't read
dancing.
it.
It's like
I
my baby almost died, like, but he's doing okay now.
uh so
So
weird.
fucking funny.
But so I did see that, but I didn't know that she was like relevant at
Yeah.
all.
She's psychotic. For real.
Yeah.
She definitely has like borderline personality disorder or something like that.
Yeah, like, Deanna's not saying that in, like, a funny, "Oh my god, she's so crazy."
No,
She's there's something wrong with her.
there's definitely something wrong with her because in the way the show began, she's like, we had moved to Hawaii. I thought they lived in Hawaii for like a year. They were in Hawaii for like 3 months. I'm like,
I
you
know.
don't. That's an extended vacation. Like, you
Mm,
don't move somewhere for 3 months. What are you
I
talking about?
know. I know. Just to get away. We just needed to get away.
Yeah, that's not
Oh,
moving. That's you staying somewhere for a long time. It's
it it's really, really good. If you like reality TV, it's really, really good. I wonder how long it'll be before a second season.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm so happy I found it.
All right, well, we should probably get on with the show for real.
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry to the people that hate this, and you're
Yes,
welcome to
so
the people that love it.
sorry. All right, so today I'm going to talk about something that Candace thinks we talked about before, and I don't think we did because I searched through the episodes and I didn't see anything about it. So hopefully it's not something we've done.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
But
sure.
don't you recall us talking about it?
I think we might have touched on it, but I don't think we like went in depth. Like I think we brought it up as a part of something else. I don't think we I don't think we talked about it.
And
But
you know what I started to think, and I'm probably wrong, but remember one post that we did got taken down because of one of the pictures I posted with it?
yeah, but this doesn't have graphic pictures, I don't think.
No,
Well,
I know, but it
no, I
was
don't know.
back when we both did a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the pictures that I posted, I don't know, it was like gory from one story that we did. And so it got taken down. I was like, "Oh, I wonder if she was on that episode."
I don't think so because I went back and I looked at all the titles and I searched through all
Yeah.
my notes and I searched the titles and I didn't see anything about her in it.
So
I
crazy.
always put like the names of the people in the description and it didn't bring
Yeah.
anything up. So
Maybe like this is how much we talk about and think about true crime is that you'll say something and I'm like, "Yeah, definitely already done that." And we haven't.
no.
Okay.
Well, the topic is Ellen Greenberg. And I'll tell you all about it if you've heard of it or not heard of it or whatever. So Ellen Greenberg, she was a 27-year-old first grade teacher and she was engaged to a guy named Samuel Goldberg. Goldberg, she's Greenberg. Okay. They were together for like 3 years and then they got engaged. I think by the time of the incident, they had been engaged for like 6 to 8 months or something. So her family and friends did notice like a change in Ellen. You know, it's the typical like she's bubbly, friendly, lights up her room, blah blah blah. And then suddenly something changed. You know, she kind of seemed like anxious all the time, and she said it was because of work. You know, work being really stressful, and she was a teacher, so I can see that being stressful. But she actually asked her parents if she could move in with them, and then they said no. They wanted her to go see a psychiatrist instead. So she started seeing a psychiatrist, and she got prescribed Klonopin, which I could actually do a whole episode on Klonopin, and I will. It's an anti-anxiety drug, and don't ever take it if you're listening. And if you are taking it, fine, talk to your doctor about getting off of it ASAP.
Do you know that's what I first got prescribed when I had anxiety?
Yeah,
And took a I cut it in
quarter
half.
of one,
Yes.
right?
And I thought I was gonna die. I thought I died.
Didn't you like sleep for like 12 hours straight or something?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
And
bad, very bad.
the doctor that gave it to me was like, "Oh yeah, you can go to work, you can drive, whatever, just for daily anxiety." I was like, "Okay, cool." And I called my mom and I was like, "Oh yeah, I got some Klonopin." She's like, "You got what?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's a I don't know anything about drugs." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, what's a big deal?" And she told me, she was like, "Don't even take half of that. Take like a nibble off of it." Which is exactly what I did, and I almost didn't come back.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't keep taking it because it
Me
will
too.
fuck you up over long term use. She also got prescribed Ambien, which is another very powerful and um, controversial kind of drug. But the psychologist, he didn't note any like feelings of suicide or uh, he said when she talked about her relationship, she didn't note anything like negative about the relationship. Her boyfriend wasn't, or fiance wasn't abusive, and so on. Well, on January 26th of 2011, Ellen uh, was at home at around 2 o'clock because she got sent home from school early due to like a snowstorm. So her and her fiance were in their apartment. Her fiance went downstairs to go to the gym that was in their apartment building. And then when he came back, the door was locked and he didn't have his key. I guess he just was like going to go down and come back up. It did have the key. Couldn't get in. Starts beating on the door, calling her, texting her. He texts her some kind of bad messages like, "What the fuck is going on?
Mhm.
What are you doing?" And "I'm getting pissed." And then something like, "You have no idea." And then he goes down. There's a rumor that he went down and got a security guard and came back up with the security guard, but there were other things that I found that conflicted with that, and
Mhm.
basically said that the security guard didn't follow him up. But regardless, Samuel decides to break down the door and get into the apartment, where he finds Ellen on the floor and there's kind of blood everywhere. So he calls 911 and they instruct him to do CPR because he's thinking he on the 911 call, in my opinion, he does actually sound really confused. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
understand what happened to her.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, well, you need to do CPR." And he's like, "Okay." So he goes to unzip her hoodie and discovers there's a knife sticking out of her chest. And he remarks that there's a knife sticking out of her chest. She stabbed herself. And they were like, "She stabbed herself?" And he said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you still want me to do CPR?" And they're like, "Well, you can't really do CPR with a knife sticking out of her chest." He's like, "Oh yeah." So the paramedics and everybody get there, and Ellen is no longer with us. She's pronounced dead. Initially, her death was ruled a homicide, but after they did like a little bit of investigation and they only Ellen's DNA was on her, the knife, her clothes. There was no other DNA found on her. And the toxicology report only showed that there was Klonopin and Ambien in her system. So they just decided to rule it a suicide instead of a
Mhm.
homicide because there just wasn't enough evidence to show that it was a homicide. And the medical examiner admits that he originally planned to rule it a homicide officially, but it was changed to suicide at police insistence.
Isn't that crazy? If there's not enough evidence for it to be a homicide, they just rule it a suicide?
But what else are they supposed to do?
Why no? I mean, what if she had like all four limbs cut off and her head cut off?
That would be obviously homicide, though, because there's no way you can do that to yourself. You can stab yourself, and people do it. It's not as common as other self-inflicted suicides, or obviously suicide self-inflicted, but it's not the most common self-inflicted wound. But
Yeah.
no one's cutting off their own arms and legs and head.
Okay, well that was
You
just really
could
hard.
maybe cut off two legs and one arm.
In your head.
Well, you'd get like halfway through the head, I think, and
Yeah.
then you'd be kind of fucked after that. You wouldn't be able to complete the job. Anyway, so obviously there's controversy here, right? Is it suicide or is it homicide? Ellen's parents started to like fight to get the case reopened because they believed it was murder. So let's talk about um well, I'll finish the timeline and then we'll talk about what's the things that point to suicide versus the things that point to homicide. So they've been like rallying for years. This happened in 2011. Well,
Mhm.
they finally filed a lawsuit against the medical examiner's office in 2021. And then the DA office took over the case in 2022. And they did win the right to challenge the suicide ruling in court. I don't I think that they have reopened the case, but I don't think that they've officially ruled it
Yeah.
a homicide again, but they're basically challenging it in court. So it still kind of remains open to interpretation. But here's what I think, okay? So we've got for the side of let's say it's homicide. Women are most likely killed by a partner or past partner. Like that's
Right.
just it's the most likely suspect. Probably, well, I don't know if it's the same for men or not, but I would say even men that are in like a marriage or a relationship, that's probably the first person you're going to look at is the person that
Right.
they're living with, the person that they're dating or
Right.
married to. Um, and her parents kind of allude to like what if she was like in an abusive relationship because she had these bruises on her body that were all different ages.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also have the angry text messages to her. I think that probably looks pretty bad. There was a rumor, and I'm not sure if it's true or not because I can't find any credible reports, but rumor is that Sam called his parents and his uncle, who's an attorney, when he first found her before he called 911. But again, that's
Oh,
just a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not.
yeah. Because I was gonna say, don't you think that the angry text messages could have come off as like someone that's scared because they don't know what's going on, so you come off like a little aggressive because she's not answering or because you're
Yeah.
just confused, kind of.
Yeah, and I think that there are innocent reasons for being like that. And in a
Yeah.
text message, it's like, can you read it as
Right.
what I'm getting pissed or come on, I'm getting pissed.
Right.
I'm
Right.
standing in the hallway beating on the door, you're not answering the door. Like, come on.
Right.
It's like
Hello.
it's hard to tell in a text
I know.
message
Yeah.
how someone actually means something.
I know.
Um and there is so much like misinformation about this case, but the number of stab wounds. Okay, I can't believe I didn't mention that yet.
Me either.
Um, she did have 20 stab wounds, including 10 to the back of her head and neck.
Impossible.
I mean, that kind of points to not doing it yourself. I'm not saying it's impossible, although that this is like it gets into the weeds of like all these experts. So this is one thing that I've learned in watching a lot of cases on like actually watching it play out.
Hmm.
The defense can get an expert that comes in and says this, and then the prosecution will get an expert on the same topic that says the opposite. So you have to determine who do you believe. Do you believe the defense's expert or do you believe the prosecution's expert? So there are some of the wounds that were done to her neck that are said to have been like she would have been incapacitated at that point. There's no way that she would have been able. But I'm like, what if that was the last one? How do you know? And then there were apparently some other of the wounds that show that like they didn't bleed and that only happens once your heart has stopped. So it's like someone kept stabbing her after she was dead.
Mm.
But I'm like, are we sure like that I don't know.
Like, do you actually know you don't bleed if your heart is stopped?
I would
It's
think
not
that
like
like there
her
would be
heart
some
well, yeah, because it's not like her heart stopped 2 days before that. Like,
right, yeah.
it would be within,
This
like,
is like she's
minutes.
if you're thinking of stabbing yourself, trying to kill yourself, you're probably gonna do it pretty fast. You're not gonna be like
Yeah, you're not, like, playing.
you're gonna be like ah.
Right, you're not fucking around.
I don't
I
think you
think
would be doing it to the back of your head. And that I did do some research on suicide, so now I'm on a fucking list. But
you've
yeah,
been you've been on that
I've
list.
been on the list. Um, yeah, now I have to check in with my therapist every day. But uh, there, it is a common thing, or not common, but it is a thing where people do stab themselves to kill themselves, but they don't usually do it to their head. They
Where
usually
is
do
it
it to their
normal? Like,
abdominal or
okay.
their like chest, which she did have stab wounds
I
there.
don't even feel like if people that stab someone else even do it in their head.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
people don't get stabbed in the head. It's not funny. People don't get stabbed in the head normally. So it's even more weird for you to stab yourself in the head.
yeah. Um, if it's true that he called his parents before and his uncle, who's an attorney, before he called 911, that is very sus. Even, and I'm a proponent of lawyering up.
Yeah.
I would not stumble upon a scene where my loved one is incapacitated and there's blood and be like, let me call my dad. I don't think I would do that. I'm pretty sure I would just call 911.
Was his dad like in law enforcement or something? Was his dad like, do you know what his dad did for work?
I don't know about his dad, but I know that the uncle was like some kind of powerful like attorney or whatever in the area.
His uncle.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm wondering if his dad is just like smarter or maybe like used to be in, I don't know, a cop or something. Because like
Now
if one of my parents was like a paramedic or a cop or a lawyer, maybe I would call them first, but it'd be a very short call before I would call 911. I can see it maybe.
they were also on the 6th floor. Okay, so if you're thinking balcony or somebody coming in through the back door or
Mhm,
something like that, it wouldn't have really
mhm.
been possible because they were
Yeah,
on the 6th floor.
yeah,
It was also snowing and there wasn't like any kind of like disturbed snow on the balcony or anything like that.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because there was snow actually on her balcony, right?
But yeah,
That had no tracks in it, like nothing. It was perfectly laid snow.
but okay, so now we're talking for not necessarily suicide, but let's say it was someone other than Sam.
Okay.
It was either her or someone else. Um, there was no DNA on her, and
So wild. Or on the
so
knife,
the
right?
no, we're on the knife. It was just her DNA and
Nowhere.
her, yeah, her all of her stuff. The door was locked, like regardless of like even if you
Mhm.
think Sam did it, how did he? And I know that there's people that say,
It's a
the little
chain.
like latch thing. It wasn't a chain. It's the bar kind, but same kind of situation. Like a lot of
Oh,
apartments
yeah.
in cities will have like the little, or if you're thinking like a hotel room, the little like thingy that
Sliding
goes across.
sliding lock.
It doesn't slide. It's like a swing arm.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's like
okay.
a bar thing that just kind of swings over
Oh, okay.
and attaches to the door jamb.
That can only be locked from the inside, is the
Right, it
point.
can only be locked from the inside.
Yeah.
But people say, well, you can take a shoelace and wrap it around. But like, if you just killed somebody, are you thinking to
Now let me get my
take the
shoelace out.
shoelace? And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you
Yeah.
would think to do all of that.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe.
Because I think, here's my thinking. If you're smart enough, and let's say this is like if Sam's the killer, okay? If he's smart enough to lock the door from the outside, to make it look like she locked it or whatever, wouldn't he find a way to kill her that wasn't like 20 stab wounds to her head and chest? Like, the way he killed her seems like if he was going to try to make it look like a suicide, he should have
Just
done a different
you.
thing.
Yeah. That's true.
So I
That's
don't know if is I guess maybe he did it in a moment and then he was like, oh no, what do I do? I don't think that you would think to do that. I just truly don't. And also I do feel like he truly sounded confused on the phone. I don't think it wasn't like admittedly for the staircase thing, Michael Peterson sounds like he's putting on some kind of act when he's, oh my goodness, oh my wife, I found her
interesting.
accidentally.
Interesting.
I'm just saying it did sound kind of fake.
Oh, maybe I'll
The owl did do it,
maybe
but
I'll
Michael
change
Peterson
my
was maybe.
maybe I'll change my take on this.
Okay, so back to Ellen did this to herself, okay? She was on these drugs, Klonopin and Ambien, and that shit can make you crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it can make you hallucinate. It can give you suicidal thoughts. There's contradicting evidence that shows that she was Googling things about suicide. Of course, her parents hired like a private investigator, and he's like, the searches are phantom searches that don't. And I'm like, I don't get all of that shit. But
Phantom
yeah, I
searches.
don't, I do not understand what the fuck they're talking about. They're saying she was searching up weight gain and like that kind of like side effects of this medication,
Mhm.
and she didn't actually visit the links that were about like the suicide stuff, but for some reason all of that came up on her search history. And I truly do not understand how all of this shit works, and this was a huge thing in the Karen Reed case because of that whole Google search that
Oh,
what's
yeah.
her name did, the How Long to Die in Cold.
Yeah.
There's experts that say she did it, and there's experts that say she didn't do it at that time. So, and I don't understand how it can. How is there not one answer to this?
Right.
Same with the Google search. I do not understand how there's not one answer to this. Did she Google about suicide or not? But anyway, so my point being, if she's on these drugs that are prescribed to her, and that could have pushed her to do something that isn't like her or whatever. You know, it could
Right.
have pushed her to into a psychotic episode where she could have maybe done something like this to herself, I think.
Like, having taken one of those before, I can't imagine needing both at the same time ever for
Yeah.
any reason.
And how do they interplay? I mean, they can say that they're safe, but oh my god, just do some research on
Do you
the
know
types of things that they say are safe and they're
how
not.
n- how new was the prescriptions? Like, had she been taking them for days or weeks or months?
I think it was only weeks, but
So
I'm not positive about that. It wasn't like, I don't think it was like brand new, but
so
it
it's like
was,
newer.
yeah. Okay, back to that reminds me of the bruises on her body. I also have several bruises on my body right now that are of different stages of healing, and it has nothing to do with being beaten by my husband. He makes sure not to leave any marks. I'm kidding. That's a bad joke.
He's smarter.
Yeah. But I don't think that that means anything. That she talked to her psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist even like they're they're also assessing what you're not saying. They're assessing your body language. They're assessing how you say things.
Yeah.
He did not think that there was anything amiss about their relationship.
But have you seen a picture of the bruises?
No.
Because I feel like they would only bring that up if it was like bruises like on her neck or like around her wrist, or I mean I have bruises, everyone has bruises, but depending on I feel like where they are, like around your arm or something, or like your, I don't know, your, yeah, like your arms or your neck, like someone grabbing you, then I feel like though, I mean there are suspicious bruises and then there are just bruises that I don't know how I got them, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know how you tell unless it's like you said where it's maybe around the wrist or something where you can tell someone grabbed somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see like fingerprint bruises
Yeah.
on somebody, unless it was something like that, but they didn't specify that it was that.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
weird.
think that they would have specified like she had
Like
bruises that looked like a hand
a
around her
hand.
arm,
Yeah.
or I don't know, she looked like she got punched or something.
Yeah.
Um, what was the other thing? Okay, I think that's actually all the points that I had.
And
And there is a lot of sorry, what were you going to say?
he was like questioned, right?
Yeah, like a
Like,
basic question. Yeah, I don't think he was
he was
never
never
even considered
arrested,
as no.
taken in, nothing. No one was.
No. No, because they ruled it a suicide, so they just kind of like try to let it go, and then the parents have been fighting to get it moved,
Okay.
and he has since moved on and gotten married to someone else. I don't think that means anything, but
Mhm.
I mean, that's where he's at now. So I still don't really know where I land with this. I do lean more towards it does seem like someone else did this to her.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't seem like she did it to herself, although she could have. I think it is possible, especially when you consider the factors of being on Klonopin and Ambien and being stressed and all of those things. It's possible the fact that the door was locked,
Yeah.
because even if it was a random killer, I don't see the random killer taking the time to hook,
Do that.
you think a random killer is going to come in and like take a clothes hanger and from the outside, you think he's going to stand there and mess around doing that while
Yeah.
people could be walking in the hallway? Like, I mean, anyone, even if you think Sam did it, you think
I know.
Sam's fucking around in the hallway, like trying to make it look like the door's locked from the inside? Somebody
I
could see
mean,
him.
or if it was like a neighbor that hates her because she was so loud all the time, and he has the same lock on his door, so he could practice the lock at his home for days and then
It's
do it
true.
like that. And then he gets questioned, "Did you hear anything?" "No, nope. No, I don't know, Ellen. Never heard anything. She seemed like a sweet girl, and he's the killer."
That is one thing I didn't see anything about at all. Was anyone talking about how loud that had to have been? She had to have been screaming. She
I
also didn't have any defensive wounds, by the way. But they think
mm,
that that's because it was a blitz attack where she was like stabbed so quickly that she didn't have time to have defensive wounds. But
yeah.
the lack of defensive wounds is what kind of points to
Well,
suicide for
and
some
because
people.
also if you're like on Ambien and Klonopin and you're stabbing yourself, I would imagine all of those stab wounds happen within like a minute, right? I mean, who actually knows? But I think if you're drugged up like that and to a point where you're stabbing yourself, you're probably not laying there like screaming.
Yeah.
You probably don't even feel it.
Also, there was like some things about she was found like kind of like sitting up. Like if you picture someone who's like sitting on the floor of their kitchen with their back up against the cabinets.
Hmm.
That's how she was found. But there's some blood that's kind of like running down her face, and there's some blood on her feet or her shoes. I don't remember if she's wearing shoes or not. Um, but anyway, those are things that are like indicative of her being maybe positioned by
Yeah,
someone at some point.
yeah.
Because
Well,
she had to have, if there's blood on her feet or shoes, she had to have been standing up for part of it, which I mean would make sense even if she stabbed herself, because you could stand up, you could be standing up and stabbing
I just
yourself.
pictured her like standing, but like head down on like the kitchen counter or something, and just like stabbing the back of your head, and then you just sit down
Yeah,
because that was a lot. Like, what the
that makes sense
fuck?
too,
What
actually.
the fuck happened?
But regardless of what I think or what anyone thinks, really, I just don't think that there's enough here to charge anyone, even Sam. I just
No, no,
I
no,
don't think that we have enough evidence.
no, not at all.
And I get like something you hear all the time in these true crime cases is like the families are always like, we want justice. We want her, justice for Ellen. And I get it. But like, what does that do for you
Yeah.
if you do send Sam to prison? Like,
Do you feel better?
she's not going to come back.
Yeah. You feel better, not just you just want someone to go?
Yeah,
You
exactly. It
just want
feels like they just
someone
want someone to be held
that
responsible.
that's not justice.
No.
Because then we're gonna need justice for that person that you sent that didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure the parents are just so confused, but yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't
I
just
definitely feel bad for them because this is a horrific
yeah,
way for someone to
yeah,
die, and regardless of how it happened, whether she did
yeah,
it to herself or someone else did it to her, it's horrific.
yeah.
And I understand wanting someone to quote unquote pay for it or whatever, but I just don't think there's enough here to charge anyone. And I say that, and I also do think if it was a someone, I do understand that most likely someone was Sam.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that there's like really enough evidence to prove that other than just the fact that he was her fiance. That's the only
Right.
thing. There's
Right.
no other
Nothing.
concrete evidence
Yeah.
that's, I mean, and these are of course also things, there may be things that people on the internet aren't seeing that I don't have access to.
Mhm.
Maybe he for sure did call his parents, and that could be a factor that I would take into consideration if I was a juror.
Mhm.
If that can be proven that he called someone else before he called 911, that would definitely be something that I would consider. Um, but there's just nothing.
That's not enough.
No,
It's not even something. There's literally nothing. It's not
no,
even, well, he did do this, he did do that. He freaked out and like called family instead of calling police. Which I mean, when you are actually panicking, I can understand that.
yeah. And I saw a lot of speculation online from people who were like, he said this at the 911 call and that makes him guilty. And I'm like, you can't sit here and say you find someone that you love stabbed to death and you're not going to maybe say something weird on the
Yeah.
phone, or
Yeah.
someone was like, it even sounded like he almost started laughing. I can see myself doing something like that because I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. So I could see like starting to laugh if I call
Oh my
911 for
oh
somebody.
my god. I feel like you're seeing something with your own eyes that you've never seen before in your life. You're going to say something
Yeah,
you've probably never said before in your whole life. You're also going to
right.
react in a brand new way also because you're seeing something brand new.
Yeah. And so maybe that's the grace that we should give Michael Peterson.
And that's the end of tonight episode. Goodbye. That is
All right,
crazy.
that's it.
You know what it reminds me of? Did we ever
Do you still think that we covered this at some point or not?
yes, I've covered it with someone. I've talked I've talked
I
about
don't
this
remember
with
talking about
someone.
the Klonopin. That's the only thing that makes me think, because
But you
I'm such
knew
a freak about.
but you knew my Klonopin story.
Hmm.
You just told it to me. So
Yeah, I
maybe we
know.
talked about it when we talked about this.
No,
We've
you
at
had told
least
me. I'm pretty sure you had told me about that before.
I
Anyway, this may have been a no fucking way rehash.
well, if we forgot about it, maybe everyone else forgot about it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, someone will be like, "Oh, you should cover this." I'm like, "We did 4 weeks ago." Um Maybe something came out. Did like a special or something come out or something? Did we watch something about it at the
No,
same time
I
at
don't
one
think
point?
so.
Oh, it's gonna drive me insane.
But
I'm
see,
gonna find
I asked Cassidy, and she's one of our biggest fans.
I'm gonna find some evidence that we've talked about this before.
But
This
it's so funny
reminds
because it's like, did we ever talk about somebody that might have been murdered by their fiance and she was stabbed? And it's like, yeah, you've talked about that 50
probably.
times.
There's just one specific photo that I remember, and I'll send it to you. That I remember. I have this. I can see it so vividly that I went to post about the episode and I wondered if I could post this or not. But then I figured, yeah, I could because it was just like an animated stab, like a bunch of knives in the back of this person's head and neck.
Oh,
This
I
reminds
just
me
don't think that.
of the case, and if we've not talked about this, I'm going to be pissed because I would want to cover this. Um,
You know what? I think if we did talk about this, I think you talked about it. So if anything, this is just my version,
okay,
Deanna's version.
yeah, they're very similar. My version and your version, but you're right. There would be a post. It would be somewhere. It would be somewhere.
I thought. I don't know. Fuck, I don't remember. Maybe we
Well,
did
it's
talk
fine.
about
Whatever.
this.
Yeah. Well, if
Whatever, who
there's no
cares?
okay.
Nobody listens to this
Okay.
fucking show anyway. I'm just kidding.
Remember the story about the girl who was found inside of the trash chute of her apartment complex, and they ruled it a suicide.
Did we talk about this?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I mean, it sounds like vaguely familiar, but it only sounds vaguely familiar in like a way that I might have like
She
briefly
was
heard
like
about it or something.
ready to go out, was taking her trash out of her apartment. Her friends are downstairs, like came to pick her up. We're calling her. No one ever found her. She never answered. They left. They went out. They're like, she's bailing, whatever. She was in the garbage chute of her apartment complex.
Maybe she said down the hatch.
And it was ruled a suicide.
But I mean, did she have any injuries?
No, I mean, she was, no. She was like just stuck, like suffocated, just stuck, like
Oh,
died
suffocated.
inside of the, I think. I
Oh.
don't think there was not like a gunshot or stab wound or something. She was just thrown into the garbage chute and got stuck and died. And there was like trash on top of her from other people that had come in and like didn't know. It's fucking crazy.
No, I don't think I've heard of this.
Who am I who am I talking about all this stuff with? Just myself.
I don't know.
just just me.
It's funny because like I'll go to Chat GPT and I'll be like, "What's the story where the girl got found in a trash chute and they ruled it a suicide?" And it'll come up with like something else. Like there's like it's happened so many times,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Like, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
"What
crazy.
is it?"
Okay, well, if we did it, we did it. If we haven't, then there it is.
All right, now we're gonna our enters things that are our Roman Empire.
And this was like, I don't think it's that popular anymore on TikTok. I don't know even know why what I saw today that made me think of it, but there was this trending thing for a while that like most men think about the Roman Empire like twice a week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then so everybody wanted to know like what is the equivalent of that to women, because like we don't think about the Roman Empire really. And when I first saw that trend, I thought it was so funny because I remember one time I told Peter, I was like, oh, I need a story. I'm trying to find a story. He's like, oh, you should do the Romanovs or whatever, the Roman Empire and this and that. And I was like, what? Why would I? Why would I do that? And he's like, well, I'm listening to this podcast and he just talked for so long. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't
We
sound
don't do
interesting.
anything BC.
Guys do like stuff like that though.
They do.
All the BC stuff.
How do you want to do it? Do you want to just say all yours or say all
Yeah,
mine, or do
let's
you want
do
to go
it.
back and forth?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I kind of want to go back and forth.
Okay, go back and forth.
Okay, my first. Oh, then let's get this out of the way. I'm just going to combine my first two because it's the same thing. The space and the ocean.
Oh
The
yeah,
space and the ocean are the same thing. So Deanna brought up such a good point last week when I was telling her about the stranded astronauts. And then she looked it up more after we talked about it and made such a good point that all of the articles, everything out there, all of the headlines were telling us that there were astronauts stranded
yeah,
on the moon or in space. So that is what I was repeating because everyone came at me, including my know-it-all sister, and they were like, "No one's stranded in space. That's where the International Space Station is, and millions of people live there. Not millions. A lot of people live there and work there, and they're with other people. They're not stranded." Well,
yeah.
how
But
am I
that was
supposed
like
to know
what all
that?
the media was saying. Like, because
Right.
even when I like kind of briefly looked it up, and I've seen memes about it, like saying we're not going to talk about these people that are stranded in space. They were all saying the word stranded, and
Everyone.
yeah,
And not even just like
it was
funny
clickbait.
accounts that I follow on Instagram, also like news accounts were saying these two astronauts are stranded in space. So I'm like, oh shit, but they're not at all. They're fine. And they're happy to be there. People that are go to space are happy to stay there as long as they can. So it's not that urgent.
I
But
mean,
the
they were
media
supposed to
made
come
it.
back sooner
Sure. Yeah.
than. and there's a problem that's causing them to stay there longer. So, I mean, I guess that's what makes it newsworthy, but they're fine. Like, they have food and water.
It was made to seem like, maybe just to me, that they were just floating around and they were all alone.
Yeah.
That's not the case. If anyone else was as worried as I was. So the space and the ocean, I think about them all the time.
Mine is really, really, my first one's really, really specific.
What?
When on Teen Mom, when Caitlin was eating a quesadilla and she was saying she wanted to try to lose weight, and Tyler said she was going to join Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers has like a points system to like track your food. And he's like, well, how many points would that quesadilla be that you're eating? And she's like, I already looked it up. It's 7 points. And he's like, really? That quesadilla is 7 points? That's a big quesadilla. And then he's kind of giving her shit about it. And then he says something like, well, you can do whatever you want. It's your body. I mean, I don't want no heifer for a wife.
Oh my god.
And so now every time I eat a quesadilla, I think about not wanting to become a heifer of a wife.
Oh my god. Ugh. They're still happily married.
Well, they are still married. We don't know if it's
Oh, maybe not.
happily. They act like it's happily.
Yeah. My next one is just kind of blunt, just murder. All of the murders, me getting murdered, you getting murdered,
Oh yeah.
people that are going to be murdered, people that have already been murdered, people that I want murdered.
Yeah, I
Just
asked ChatGPT what it thought my Roman Empire was, and it said true crime.
really.
Yeah, I was
You know
like,
what we
oh,
should do
thanks.
next week for Ender? Have you seen like the death calculator?
No.
You like answer all these questions and it tells you like what day, what year, what
Oh
time
no.
you're gonna die.
I don't want to. I don't want to know.
Oh, do you think
My
it's
next
real?
one is the Mandela effects,
Oh, that's a
specifically the
good one.
Bernstein Bears.
That's a good one. I just
Some of
saw a
them
new
are stupid. Some of them I'm like, you guys
some
just
of
have a
them.
shitty memory.
Yeah, some of them are stupid. A lot of it is spelling though, I've found.
Yeah, I'm
Like
like, you guys can't spell worth a fuck. Don't sit here and tell me that. Don't sit here and tell me that this is a Mandela effect.
Okay, the
But
one that
it is Berenstein, not Berenstein.
yes, it is Berenstein, yes. The one that I just saw yesterday was Curious George doesn't have a tail and he's actually an ape and not a monkey. Because apes don't have tails.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that apes don't have tails, or you thought Curious George was a
No, I
monkey?
didn't know that apes didn't have tails. I could see Curious George go either way, but I swear I thought I seen him hanging from his tail before.
No, you did know that apes don't have tails. Like picture an ape with a tail, picture a gorilla with a tail. They don't have a tail. You did know that.
Are there any monkeys that have tails?
Monkeys have tails. Apes are different. They don't have tails.
Well,
The
I just
thing,
thought there were some monkeys with tails and some monkeys that didn't have tails. I didn't know that a gorilla wasn't a
um,
monkey.
a monkey has a tail. An ape does not.
This is the
Here,
first time I've sounded stupider than you.
well, this is funny because I didn't think this was going to be the argument. The argument is that I always thought Curious George had a tail, but
Yeah,
apparently he
I thought I've seen him hanging from his tail.
no.
Wow.
Right. So everyone's like, he's not a monkey, he's an ape because he does not have a tail.
Interesting.
I know. Um, my next one is dinosaurs. All the dinosaurs, how we know what we've talked about this so many times.
Allegedly look like. Oh,
Dinosaurs, quote
sure.
unquote. Just all
Sure.
dinosaurs in quotations.
I'm a dinosaur denier now.
Yeah.
Um, well, you kind of already covered this on yours, but mine is specifically the space station. Now that I've started like looking it up, like that's fucking wild.
I know. Um, because I didn't even, and I told Deanna when we were texting about that this week, I was like, for some reason, when I just pictured the space station, I was like, pictured a building like on
On
the
the moon.
moon. right? Which
It's
it's
not
not.
on the moon. It's just floating around. It's also the size of a football field, but it's like it's just a bunch of like tubes put together basically that they
I
kind
know.
of zoom around in.
I know. And what if it goes like too far? Can it go like out of range?
No, because it's like it's in Earth's gravitational pull, so it's always going to stay. And then Cody said that like it does like move down closer towards Earth, but they like push it back into
How?
the right. I don't know. They
To
could
like
just like take
steer
a
it?
yeah. They steer it. I don't think they steer it, but I think they
It's
like
like on
push it.
it's like a kite and we're controlling it from here. NASA is controlling it from here.
They got to pump up the air in it. They got to put more
Oh
helium in the
my
wings.
god. It's so hard. Also, you made another good point by saying this week whenever you we were talking about this that space isn't like not everyone knows stuff about space like this. You have to
Yeah,
like
people act like all of this stuff is common knowledge, and it's not.
it's not. It's not. I don't remember at all learning about space in school even. Like one chapter in science was space. That was it. Um were you going to say something else
Every
about
single person I've told this week that the International Space Station is as big as a football field, they're all like, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize that." So it's definitely not
No,
common fucking knowledge. Like, not everybody
no,
knows
it's
everything
not.
about space.
Yeah, space station. It's not stationary at all.
Brian,
Cassidy.
I know who that's who's driving this conversation. I don't know if Brian even listens.
Is it you or me?
Uh,
Oh, I did dinosaurs.
the
Oh, you did
fact
space station.
that, huh?
You did the space station last,
Yeah, I
right?
did.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
my
So you go.
okay, the fucking Ocean Gate. I think about it
The
so much.
submarine.
Yes.
I have not thought about it since it happened.
I know, and that blows my mind because I said something about it like a month ago, and you're like,
Yeah, and
"Oh
I was
yeah,
like, what?
I forgot." Oh, when it had been 1 year, I'm like, "Can you
hmm
believe it's been a year?" And you're like, "I actually have not even thought about it." It blew my mind because I think about it so much. And now they finally got down to they have like a camera down in the bottom of the ocean where they found like the rest of it, like the thing on the outside that didn't like disintegrate. So that, and also when I think about that, then I think about why they went, which is the Titanic. I think about the Titanic so much.
I also don't think about the Titanic ever.
No, you don't. I But then I told you how if you go on to I can't go on TikTok without seeing every 5 videos is something about the Titanic.
Really? That's funny.
But maybe just because I've interacted so much with Titanic stuff.
My next one came up recently when I noticed people sending their kids to school with water bottles. We did not drink anything all day long when we were in school. You got to go stand in line for the water fountain when you were a little thirsty.
Or your like little 5-ounce carton of milk at
That
lunch.
nasty milk, the disgusting milk that tasted like cardboard because that is what it came out of. Milk. And then maybe on Fridays, if you had 50 cents, you could get a slushy. Um,
You had
but we
slushies?
were not drinking any water
Mm-mm.
at all. And now
Mm-mm.
kids are. How did we live? How did we stay hydrated? How did.
Well, I think it's not necessary for all of us to be carrying around as much water as we carry around.
I know,
It's
but.
not, it's not necessary.
But most people are chronically dehydrated. Probably not anymore, thanks to carrying around water bottles.
Yeah, it's we are overly hydrated, all of us.
I don't think so.
I think we've done it to ourselves. Now you're drinking so much water just because you have a cute cup that you have to keep drinking so much fucking water. Because you're right, I would sip from the hose once in the evening before I would go inside. Like that's it. Like you just didn't drink
Or if
ever.
we did drink, like even at home, once I got home, it wasn't like I was coming home and drinking water.
No,
I was
I'd have
coming home and drinking a Capri Sun,
fucking
Kool
sweet
Aid,
tea, Kool-Aid, orange soda.
Gatorade, maybe. Yeah,
Never,
Sunkissed.
never water. if we didn't have anything to drink and I only drank water, I was like, what are we, poor? Like,
Yeah.
why? There's nothing else to drink. What do you mean drink some water? That's disgusting. I don't want that. Never. Never. I make Blair drink so much water. For what? For what?
You should. We're
I know.
probably so underdeveloped. That's probably why I'm only 5 feet tall.
Because, okay.
Because I didn't drink enough water when I was young.
Yeah, I just think we're doing it to ourselves, though.
I could have been like 6 feet tall.
I don't think so.
What's your next? What's your next one?
My next one is Princess Diana.
Oh, yeah. That's also I don't ever think about her.
I know. Not so much like the whole royal family. I don't really care about. I do think about like I don't understand how their money works, but we've talked about that before. I don't understand what they do all day and like all the people that live in their little chambers. But
Mm-hmm.
just specifically Princess Diana, I think about her all the time. Like what actually happened. I don't know. I always wonder like when her kids think about her, like how often do they think about her?
Yeah.
Do they talk to each other about her?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Have they
Maybe.
like told their kids about her? You know,
You would think so.
like what did they think happened?
Yeah. Do they believe the conspiracies?
Right? Did have they even like read them? Do they know all the conspiracies? You know, just so many things.
My next one is how badly we body shamed women in the early 2000s.
Oh, that's such a good one. That's such a good one.
Because I remember seeing like the headlines of like Jessica Simpson like being called fat or whatever, and you can, if you know
Yes.
what I'm talking about, you can picture the image that I'm talking about. She's standing on stage, she's wearing high
She has
waisted
on a
jeans.
red tank top and like jean shorts and boots, and she's singing.
Or no, the one I'm thinking of, she's wearing jeans, not shorts, but like pants. Now this is a Mandela effect.
I do know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Anyways, uh, oh, it's actually a black tank top and jeans
And her
and
hair's
like a
down.
gold. Yeah, her hair's down, gold, like a double belt situation. But yeah,
Ugh,
she looks like she looks totally fine, and
normal.
I just remember everybody saying like, "Wow, she's
She's probably like a
hideous."
size 6
Yeah, she's
in
fat.
those
I'm like,
pictures.
she looks amazing,
I
actually.
know. Isn't it crazy? And like
Yeah.
when everyone started to get healthier and like heroin chic was out, every single one of them was labeled like, is she pregnant? Is
Mm-hmm.
she look at her this year compared to this year. What's happened to Mandy Moore or whoever the
Yeah.
fuck? That's wild. But that's like coming back in, that skinny, like Kardashian bodies are out, and then like the
Oh,
heroin.
Ozempic bodies are in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Those big bodies. Oh my God, yes. I just thought of what my teen mom Roman Empire is, and it's whenever Janelle was going to have to spend like 24 hours or 48 hours in jail or something, and it was when the Kesha concert was.
Yeah, and she's like, no, she skipped some kind of hearing or something that she was supposed to go to because she wanted to go to Kesha. And she had to go to jail because she skipped that.
Uh, and she's talking to her probation officer, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh," she's like, "They're really good seats," and he's just staring at her like,
Yeah.
You're going nowhere in this
She's
life."
like, I really have to go to this concert, dude. I don't give a fuck.
And she has that
Yeah, she
feather in her
goes.
hair, the feather sewed in her
Yeah,
hair.
and then she says, that's why I have these feathers in my
Oh
hair.
yeah.
So I can go to the Kesha
She's saying
concert.
that to like a 40-year-old man. She's like, "That's even why I have this feather in my hair." And he's like,
Yeah, and he's like,
"Janelle, listen."
okay, you're gonna go to jail if you don't show up. And she's
Oh
like,
my
okay,
oh my
I'll
God.
show up, wink. And then she doesn't show up and she goes to jail.
Oh, but she went to Kesha.
She did.
Okay.
You or me?
I don't know. How many more do you have?
I have 4 more.
4 more.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one more, and it's
Okay.
Halloween and Christmas.
Oh,
That's it.
I'll just go through my next ones quickly.
Well, I'm not rushing you.
The fact that I plucked my eyebrows off so bad when I was 13 years old. Like, I got to make a decision when I was 13 to ruin my eyebrows for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And you took it.
And I took it and I ran with that shit. And now I have to fill it in every day with a pencil.
Oh. Well, I never
I
even did
regret it.
anything to my eyebrows, and this is what mine look like. At least you
Yeah,
have
but
like a.
you have better brows than me.
Mm-mm.
Yours are thicker width-wise. I think they're lighter though.
Mm-hmm.
My next one is that Candace pees in the sand at the beach.
Oh.
And I don't ever not think about that anytime I see sand.
Every time you see sand, not
Yeah.
just when you go to the
I
beach.
think about you every time I see sand.
Oh gosh.
Every awful or embarrassing thing I did when I was drunk.
Oh, that's a rough one.
And then also my last one is kind of similar. Everything bad that has ever happened to me.
I do get
It's
that,
just
like,
replaying
yeah.
all the
Yeah,
time. I've
isn't
been
that weird?
there.
And then sometimes if you just think of one,
Oh yeah, you
another,
just start kind of going
then
down.
you have to think of all of them.
Hmm.
It's like you think of one and then another one knocks on the door, and then another one, then another one, and then you're just trying to go to sleep.
Exactly.
Why can't I think about that during the day when I'm like watching? I don't know.
When
I'm
I
tired.
went on Reddit to find like inspiration for things to say because I was kind of having a hard time, but then I really got on a roll here, obviously. Um, so there was this kind of like ask Reddit thread, "What's your Roman Empire?" And there was two people who said something like, "My wife,"
Oh,
and
shut
I'm
the
just like,
fuck
"Shut
up.
up! You're disgusting." I bet you think about your wife the least out of anything.
Blocked. I don't want to see that shit.
Blocked and reported.
Also, you're a stranger to everyone reading that, so no one's gonna be like, "Aw." Everyone,
Exactly.
there's no way not everyone's just scrolling past that thinking, "Shut the fuck up." He's probably
Exactly.
not even married.
Probably not.
All right, well, thanks for listening.
Yep. See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.